I saw things in that place. I cannot explain them with words. My mind could not work right. I looked at buildings. They were new and complete, but they were also old and broken. Both at the same time, I saw this with my own eyes. It was real. I saw gardens with big fruits on the trees, but the trees were also small seeds in the ground. Both were true at once. My heart began beating fast. My hands shook. I felt dizzy and sick to my stomach. This was not normal confusion. It went deep inside me. I felt lost and afraid. The things shown to me are too big for human brains. Our minds are not made for this kind of truth. I saw scrolls that were sealed shut, but they were also reading themselves out loud. I heard the words, but the sound did not come through my ears. The sounds looked like colors. Blue and gold and red moved past me in waves. I knew these were voices speaking. I tried to hold the meaning in my thoughts, but it went away. I could not keep it. I tried very hard to understand. I understood then. This place does not use normal thinking. You cannot figure it out with your head. It is spirit speaking to spirit. My body shook all over. Tears came down my face. I was not sad, just overwhelmed. It was too much, too beautiful, too strange. I wanted to understand so much, but every time I tried, the understanding moved away from me. The angel stood near me. He saw I was struggling. He did not use words to explain. He just let me feel what was happening. My chest felt heavy. I breathed slow and deep. I looked around. Nothing stayed still. Walls were solid. Walls were also see-through. Time went forward. Time also went backward. I felt very small. I was scared, but I also felt safe. Having both feelings at once is hard to explain. I tried to remember everything. I wanted to tell people later when I went back, but my memory could not hold it. It was too big for my mind. I stood there. I let the confusion stay with me. There was nothing else to do. The angel waited with me. He waited until I stopped trying to understand. Then he showed me. It was okay. Not knowing was part of seeing heaven. My legs felt weak. I needed to sit down. But there was no ground to sit on. I was floating in the air. The colors kept moving around me. I covered my eyes with my hands, but I could still see the colors. Nothing blocked the sight. I thought I would go crazy from trying to make sense of it. But then I felt peace come over me. The angel touched my shoulder. I knew I did not need to understand. I just needed to see it. An angel came to me. He was very big. I could feel his presence strong near me. He oversees God's affairs on the earth. He had a special mark on his clothing. It showed his work clearly. He handles the changes between heaven and earth. He revealed to me that something would start on July 25, 2026. It would happen across America. It would not be judgment. It would be preparation. God wanted to do a big revival in December, but he needed to prepare people first. The foundation had to be laid early. The July events would wake people up. It would be a warning sign. Heaven was recruiting people. Not everyone would be chosen. Only some would be selected. They would carry the coming move of God. I felt my heart move when he showed me this. I knew it was serious. The angel waited for me to understand. He was patient with me. I trembled as I listened. My hands shook. This was real. It was happening soon. I needed to pay attention. The date was fixed. July 25 would begin something new. I felt tears come to my eyes. The information was heavy on me. I knew I had to tell others when I returned. The angel looked at me with kindness. He knew I was overwhelmed. He let me take my time to absorb this. I took a deep breath. I asked him to confirm the date again. He showed me the calendar in heaven. July 25 was marked with light. The revelation expanded before my eyes. It showed me God selecting specific individuals. He was choosing them for a sacred burden. They would become the midwives of what is to come. I saw this clearly. Just as midwives prepare for delivery before the labor pains begin, these chosen ones would prepare the spiritual atmosphere. They would do this work before the December manifestation. They would not be many in number. I saw that clearly. The work requires special people. They must carry the weight of intercession. It is heavy. They must carry preparation without crumbling under the pressure. These midwives would assist in the birth. It would be a move of God. Otherwise, it would be stillborn. The hardness of hearts would stop it from coming forth. But through their prayers and preparations, the way would be made ready. The December outpouring would come because they labored. I felt overwhelmed seeing this. My chest was tight. I knew God was looking for specific people. Not everyone could do this. It required strength. It required willingness to carry the burden. I trembled as I watched the selection process. I saw faces. I saw people being marked. The angel showed me this was happening now. Even as I watched, God was choosing. He was looking at hearts. He was looking for those who would say yes. The midwives would not be famous. They would not be well known. They would work in secret. They would pray in the midnight hours. They would carry the weight when no one saw. But their work would be essential. Without them, the revival would not survive. It would die before it started. But with them, it would live. It would grow. It would change everything. I felt tears running down my face. I wanted to be one of them. I wanted to help. The angel saw my tears. He nodded. He showed me that desire was the first step, but I would need to be tested. I would need to prove I could carry the weight. The preparation time would be hard. It would require sacrifice. It would mean giving up many things, but it would be worth it. To see God move in December, to know you helped prepare the way, that was the reward. I felt determined rise in me. Jesus himself appeared to me. I saw him clearly. He was the revealer of mysteries. He disclosed 5 signs to me. These signs would mark those elected for the midwife calling. They would not be made public. They would not be loud or showy. They would manifest as internal realities. They would happen inside the person, not outside where others could see. They would be private marks. They would show that God had chosen. They would confirm the election. I listened carefully. My heart was beating fast. I wanted to remember every sign. Jesus spoke with authority. He showed me these were important. They would guide the chosen ones. I felt peace as he spoke. I knew I needed to hear this. Jesus showed me the first sign. He told me about the midnight awakening. This would happen between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. It would be a stirring inside the person. They would wake up suddenly. It would not be like normal insomnia. It would feel different. It would feel like someone woke them up on purpose. But when they look around, there is no one there. The room is empty, but the feeling remains. They know something woke them. They just cannot see it. I saw this clearly. He showed me how it would feel. The person would be sleeping deeply. Maybe they were dreaming. Maybe not. Then suddenly they are awake. Their eyes open wide. Their heart beats fast. Not from fear, from alertness. They sit up in bed. They look around the room. They check the door. They check the window. Nothing is there. No one is there, but they feel awake. Fully awake, not groggy, not sleepy, alert, like they slept for hours already. But the clock shows it is 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., sometimes 1:30 a.m. Always between 1 and 4, never earlier, never later, always in that window of time. They try to lie back down. They close their eyes tight. They try to sleep again. They tell themselves to sleep. They command their body to rest. But sleep does not come. It is gone. It left the room. They turn to the left side. They turn to the right side. They count numbers. They try to think of boring things. They try everything they know. But the sleep's finished for that night. They are awake and they cannot change it. This frustrates them. They feel angry sometimes. They have work tomorrow. They have a long day ahead. They need rest. Their body is tired, but their spirit is awake. They do not understand why this is happening. They think it is just bad sleep, just stress from work, just getting older. Maybe they need medicine. Maybe they need a doctor. But it is not that. It is something else completely. Jesus revealed to me that this is not random. This is not a sleep problem. This is not medical. This is a divine appointment. Heaven is calling. Angels are present in the room. They are standing nearby, right next to the bed. They are waiting. They have been sent from heaven specifically to wake this person. They need this person to pray. The angels are ready to take the prayers to God. But the person must speak the words. They must rise and pray. This is the first seal. This shows election. It shows God has chosen this person. He is waking them up to prepare them. He wants them to work in prayer. Not just any prayer, but intercession specifically. For what is coming in December, for the revival, for the preparation of hearts. I felt tears running down my face as he showed me this. I understood how important this was. The person might feel angry at first. They might feel tired. They might resist the waking. They might take sleeping pills to try to stop it. They might drink something to force sleep. But if they do, they miss the appointment. They miss what God wants to do. The angels are there. They are real. They are waiting. They have come from heaven to stand in that room. Invisible but real. More real than the bed. More real than the walls. They wait for the sound of prayer. When the person begins to speak to God, the angels move into action. They take the words to heaven. They make things happen in the spirit realm. But the person must wake up first. They must recognize this is not insomnia. This is a call from God. He showed me the difference clearly. Normal insomnia is frustrating. The mind races with worries. The body is tired but cannot rest. There is anxiety. There is tossing and turning. There is discomfort. The person feels hot or cold. They feel annoyed. Their thoughts are chaotic. But this midnight awakening is different. The mind is clear. The body is rested even if it is tired. There is peace. But there is also alertness. The person feels drawn to pray. They feel a pull in their spirit toward God, even if they do not know what to say. Even if they have never prayed much before in their life, they feel they should talk to God. They feel they should get up. This is the sign. This is how they know. When they wake at 2 a.m. and feel peace but also urgency. When they feel someone is in the room but they are not scared. When they try to sleep but they know deep inside they should not. They know they should get up. They know they should kneel on the floor or sit on the edge of the bed and begin to speak to heaven. This happens repeatedly, not just one night. Many nights, a pattern forms over weeks. The person begins to realize this is not natural. It keeps happening. Same time, same feeling. They begin to accept it. They stop fighting it. They prepare for it. They go to bed earlier knowing they will wake. When they do wake, they do not fight it anymore. They rise quietly. They do not turn on bright lights. They might light a candle or just sit in the dark. They pray. They intercede. They ask God what to pray for. He shows them. He reveals things to their heart. They pray for the nation. They pray for the revival coming in December. They pray for the preparation. They pray for protection. They pray for the lost. They become the midwives. Through their prayers in the night hours, they prepare the way. They hold the responsibility when others sleep. This is their calling. This is the first sign. The midnight awakening. It is a privilege. It is hard, but it is holy. The person might feel their skin tingle. They might feel heat in their chest. They might feel a presence like someone standing near them. They look but see nothing. They'll feel foolish. But they know. They know something is there. The angels are waiting. They are patient. They do not leave. They wait for the prayer. If the person goes back to sleep, the angels wait for the next night. They do not give up. God is persistent. He wants this person. He has chosen them. He will keep waking them until they respond, until they agree to pray, until they accept their role. It is a gentle but firm calling. It is love. It is invitation. But it is also urgent. Time is short. December is coming. The preparation must happen now. July is the start. The midnight hours of July will be filled with these awakenings. Across the land, in every state, God is calling his midwives. He is waking them up. One by one, night by night, until they rise and answer the call. I saw people all over the land experiencing this, in big cities, in small country towns, in suburbs, in apartments, in houses. They were waking up. They were confused at first. They told their friends. Their friends did not understand. They thought they were just stressed. But then the person knew. They understood God was calling them. Many people joined together. They were working while the world slept, praying in the dark hours when the spiritual realm is active, preparing the atmosphere, making room for what God would do. The angels stood with them, strengthening them, taking their prayers to the throne. It was beautiful. It was powerful. I wept as I saw it. I knew this was real. I knew this would happen. The first sign was clear. The midnight awakening. It would show who is chosen. Jesus showed me the second sign. He revealed the fasting that comes from God. This is not normal fasting. This is not dieting. This is not something the person chooses. This is something that happens to them. God does it. The person wakes up one day and they do not want to eat. The food looks normal. It smells normal. Maybe it is their favorite food. Maybe it is breakfast. Maybe it is dinner. But they look at it and they feel nothing. No desire. No interest. They are not sick. They are not nauseous. They do not feel like vomiting. They just do not feel hungry at all. The feeling of hunger is completely gone. It disappeared overnight. I saw this clearly. He showed me how it happens. The person sits at the table. They put the food in their mouth. They chew because they know they should eat. But they feel nothing. No pleasure. No satisfaction. The food tastes plain. They swallow because they know their body needs it. But they do not want more. They push the plate away. They stand up and leave the table. Their family watches them. Their spouse worries. Their children ask what is wrong. The person says they are fine. They just are not hungry. They say it will pass. But it does not pass. This continues, day after day. Week after week, the appetite does not return. Not for bread, not for meat, not for fruit, not for anything. They try to eat normally. They think maybe they are sick. Maybe they have a stomach problem. Maybe it is stress. They go to the doctor. The doctor checks them. The doctor runs tests, blood tests, scans, everything. The doctor finds nothing wrong. All tests come back normal. The body is healthy. The organs are working. The stomach is fine. But the person knows something is different. They can go hours without food, then days. They drink water. They drink juice. They stay hydrated. But solid food has no appeal. They look at a hamburger and feel nothing. They look at cake and feel nothing. They lose weight. Their clothes get loose. Their pants fall down. People notice. They get concerned. They think the person has an eating disorder. They think something is wrong mentally. They try to force them to eat. They bring food to their house. But it is not that. It is God working. Jesus revealed to me that this is a sign of election. When the appetite disappears suddenly and completely, it shows God has chosen this person. He is preparing their body for something big. He is removing the distraction of food. He wants them spiritually alert. Food takes energy to digest. Food makes the body heavy and sleepy. Food requires attention and time. God wants that attention for himself. He wants the person focused on him completely. So he takes away the desire. It is a privilege. Not a sickness, not a problem, a gift. The person should receive it as such. I felt my heart move as he showed me this. I understood how strange this must feel. The person might be scared. They might think they are dying. They might think they have a terrible disease. They might force themselves to eat. They might take supplements. They might try everything to bring the appetite back. They might cry. They might feel alone. No one understands. But if they fight it, they miss the purpose. God is giving them a special time, a period to seek him without distraction. They should use this time to pray more, to read the scriptures more, to worship longer, to prepare their heart for what is coming in December. He showed me the physical side in detail. Normally, if a person does not eat, they get sick. Their stomach hurts badly. They get ulcers in their stomach. They feel weak and shaky. They cannot think clearly. They get dizzy when they stand up. Their head hurts. But with this divine fasting, none of that happens. The body continues strong. The mind stays clear and sharp. The stomach does not pain them. No ulcers form. No sickness comes. The doctors cannot explain it. They say it is impossible. But the person is healthy. They have energy. They can work. They can pray. They can think. God is sustaining them. He is keeping them alive. He is keeping them healthy, even without food. It is temporary. It will end when God has finished the preparation. But while it lasts, it is holy time, precious time. The person should not seek medical help for this. They should not take medicine to force appetite. They should not go to specialists. They should not worry. They should thank God. They should recognize they are chosen. They are selected for the midwife work. Their body is being made ready for the December revival. They need to be alert. They need to be awake spiritually. Food would slow them down. God removes it temporarily. He is giving them strength directly. They should use every moment of this fasting to seek God more, to pray longer hours, to intercede deeper, to listen to his voice. This is the second sign, the fasting that God gives. It shows who is elected. It shows who God has chosen for this special work. I saw people experiencing this across the land. They were confused at first. They thought something was broken in their body. They were afraid. They cried at night. They felt isolated. But then they understood. The Holy Spirit revealed it to them. They accepted it. They stopped worrying. They stopped forcing food down. They drank water to stay alive. But they let the fasting happen. They used the time to pray. They grew closer to God than ever before. They heard his voice clearer. They were ready when the time came. They were prepared for the July start. They were prepared for the December revival. The fasting was a gift to them, a holy preparation, a clear sign of their calling. They were grateful for it. They embraced it. They knew they were chosen. They sat at the table with their family. Everyone was eating. The food smelled good to the others. But to them it smelled plain. They took a bite to be polite. But they wanted to stop, not because it tasted bad, but because they had no desire for it. They smiled and said they were full, but they had not eaten. They made excuses. They said they had a big lunch, but they did not. They were protecting their family from worry, but inside they knew. They knew God was doing something. They felt it. They felt the holy presence. They felt set apart. It was lonely, but it was sacred. Then one morning, the appetite returned. Just as suddenly as it left, they woke up hungry. They ate breakfast. It tasted good again. The time of preparation was over. They had been made ready. They were now alert. They were now spiritually awake. They could eat again. But they were different. They had been changed. The fasting did its work. They were ready to be midwives. Jesus showed me the third sign. He revealed the unilateral forgiveness. This is forgiveness that comes from God. It is not worked up by the person. It is not earned by the offender. It happens suddenly. The person wakes up one day and the anger is gone. The hurt is gone. The bitterness they held for years has disappeared. They do not know how it happened. They did not pray for it specifically. They did not go to counseling. They did not read books about forgiveness. They did not try to forgive this time. God just did it. He released them. He set them free. I saw this clearly. He showed me the history first. The person had been hurt deeply, maybe by a parent who abandoned them, maybe by a spouse who betrayed them, maybe by a friend who lied about them, maybe by a church leader who abused their trust. The hurt happened years ago, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Some hurts went back to childhood. The person had held on to it all this time. They had carried it every day. It weighed them down. It made them tired. They tried to forgive before, many times. They said the words, "I forgive you." They said it in church. They said it in prayer. But the feeling never changed. They still felt angry when they thought about it. They still felt the pain in their chest. They still wanted justice. They wanted the person to apologize. They wanted the person to suffer like they suffered. They wanted the person to understand what they did. But the offender never came, never said sorry, never acknowledged the pain, never admitted they were wrong. So the wounded person held the debt. They kept it in their heart. They thought they were protecting themselves. They thought the anger kept them safe, but it was actually hurting them. Then one morning something changed. The person thought about the offender. They expected to feel the usual anger, the usual tightness in their throat, the usual heat in their face, the usual desire for revenge, the usual thoughts of the offender getting hurt. But it was not there. The feeling was gone, completely gone. They thought about the offense. The memory was still there. They remembered what happened. The facts did not disappear. But the emotion was missing. The anger had evaporated. The bitterness had left. The desire for revenge was empty. They felt empty of the bad feelings. They felt light. They felt free. They did not understand it. They tried to find the anger again. They searched their heart for it. They thought about the memory. But the pain was gone. God had taken it. He had removed it during the night. While they slept, He did the work. Jesus revealed to me that this is a sign of election. When this sudden forgiveness happens, it shows God has chosen this person. He is preparing their heart for the midwife work. He cannot use someone who holds bitterness. Bitterness stops the flow of the Holy Spirit. It stops the power. It makes the vessel not clean inside. God needs clean vessels for the December revival. He needs people who can bring forth new life without bad feelings mixed in. He needs hearts that are pure, so He removes the bitterness Himself. He does not wait for the offender to apologize. He does not require the person to work through it in therapy for years. He does not need the person to confront the offender. He just removes it sovereignly. It is His grace, free grace, undeserved, sudden, complete. I felt tears running down my face as He showed me this. I understood how impossible this seemed before. People try to forgive. They try so hard. They pray every day. They fast. They read books. They go to meetings. They see counselors. But the anger stays. The hurt stays active. They think they will never be free. They think they will carry this pain until they die. They have accepted it as part of who they are. But God can do in a moment what humans cannot do in decades. He can reach into the heart and remove the bitterness, just like that. In an instant, the person is free. They are shocked. They do not know what to do with this freedom. They are used to the pain. It was part of their identity for so long. Now it is gone. They feel strange. They feel light. They feel like they can breathe fully for the first time in years. He showed me that the offender usually does not change. They do not come back and say sorry. They do not acknowledge what they did. They do not ask for forgiveness. They continue living their life as before. They might be dead already. They might be far away in another state. They might still be cruel and unkind. They might have forgotten the offense entirely. They might think they did nothing wrong. It does not matter. The forgiveness is unilateral. That means one-sided. It comes from God to the wounded person. It does not depend on the other person. The debt is released to God. The wounded person gives the debt to God. They stop trying to collect it. They stop wanting revenge. They stop wishing bad things would happen to the offender. They hand it over completely. God takes it. He handles it. He becomes the one who will bring justice or mercy, whatever He chooses. But the wounded person is free from carrying it anymore. They are done. This is necessary preparation. God showed me clearly. He cannot use vessels that harbor bitterness to bring forth new life in the revival. It is impossible. Bitterness makes everything bad. It makes the prayers weak. If a bitter person tries to pray for the revival, their prayers are mixed with bad feelings. They are not effective. If a bitter person tries to lead worship, the worship is not clean. People feel the bitterness instead of God. If a bitter person tries to help others, they bring more hurt. They wound people because they are still wounded. God must have clean vessels, pure hearts. Hearts that have been set free from past offenses. Hearts that hold no debts. Hearts that are light and free. Only these can carry the new life of the December revival. Only these can be true midwives. Only these can prepare the way without bringing their own hurt into the work. I saw people experiencing this across the land. They woke up confused. They expected to hate, but they could not find the hate anywhere in their heart. They expected to hurt, but the hurt was healed completely. They tried to remember why they were so angry, but the reason seemed small now. It seemed far away, not important anymore. They realized God had visited them in the night. He had removed the bitterness from their heart. He had taken it out completely. They wept, not from pain, from relief, From gratitude, they were free. They were ready. They could now intercede for the nation. They could pray for the revival. Their prayers would be clean. Their heart would be pure. They could stand before God without anything blocking them. This was the third sign, the unilateral forgiveness, the sovereign release, the impossible made possible by God's grace alone. Their shoulders felt lighter. They stood up straighter. They looked in the mirror and saw their face look different, younger, softer. The anger was gone from their eyes. They smiled, and the smile was real. They were truly free. I wept as I saw this. I knew this was from God. Only He could do this. Only He could set them free. Jesus showed me the fourth sign. He revealed the expansion of compassion. This is when the person starts to feel things they did not feel before. They start to care about people they did not care about before. It is a measurable increase. That means it is real. It can be seen. It can be felt. The person changes from the inside. It is not fake. It is not an act. It is real change. I saw this clearly. He showed me the before state in detail. The person used to be very judgmental. They looked at sinners and they felt anger. They looked at people who did drugs and they felt disgust. They looked at people who had sexual sin and they felt rage. They looked at homeless people on the street and they felt disgust. They thought those people were lazy. They thought they deserved their suffering. They looked at people who made mistakes and they felt superiority. They thought they were better. They kept their distance from anyone who was dirty or smelly or different. They did not want to get involved. They said it was not their problem. They had indifference, hardness, coldness. They walked past suffering and they felt nothing. They could watch the news and see people dying in wars or accidents, and they could turn off the TV and eat dinner like nothing happened. No feeling. No connection, no tears, just hardness. And something changed. God changed their heart. Suddenly, or maybe over a short time of weeks, they began to feel differently. They looked at the same sinners, and they felt sadness, not anger. They felt grief for the person. They looked at the homeless, and they felt love, not disgust. They wanted to help. They looked at people who made mistakes, and they felt compassion, not superiority. They realized they were not better. They were just forgiven. The judgment went away. It was replaced by mercy. Real mercy, deep mercy. That is the expansion. The person feels more. They keep more love inside. They cannot keep the judgment anymore. There is no space for it. Jesus revealed to me that this is a sign of election. When this compassion increases, it shows God has chosen this person. He is changing their heart. He is making them like Himself. God is full of compassion. He cares for everyone. He wants to save everyone. The midwives must have this same heart. They must ache for the lost. They must want to see people saved. If they do not have this ache, they cannot pray effectively. Their prayers will be empty. They will just be words. But when they ache inside for souls, when they feel actual pain in their chest for the lost, their prayers have power. They cry out to God with real feeling. God hears them. He responds to this kind of prayer. This is the prayer that causes God to act. I felt tears running down my face as He showed me this. I understood what it meant. The person now feels an ache that does not go away. It is physical. It hurts in their chest. When they see someone who does not know God, they feel pain. Actual pain. They want to help. They want to reach out. They cannot just walk away anymore. They must do something. They must pray. They must speak. They cannot be silent. The compassion drives them. It compels them. They are no longer free to be indifferent. God has changed their heart for people. They are controlled by this compassion now. It directs them now. He showed me the burden bearing. This is part of the expansion. The person does not just feel sorry for others from a distance. They take on the pain. They intercede. They stand in the gap. That means they place themselves between God and the sinner. They pray for mercy. They keep the pain in prayer. They cry out for the lost. They feel the pain of the world. They take it into their own heart. They carry it to God. They say, Lord, I am standing here. Do not judge them yet. Give them time. Let me pray for them. This is hard work. It is painful. It costs something. But they do it willingly, because they love, because they have compassion. They cannot stop themselves. They are driven by this changed heart. They must pray. They must intercede. They have no choice anymore. The love compels them. This confirms their selection. When a person notices this change in themselves, when they realize they have become soft toward people, when they feel this ache for souls that they never felt before, they should know. They should understand. God has chosen them. He has selected them to be among the few who will pray, the few who will intercede, the few who will stand in the gap. Not everyone gets this expansion. Not everyone is chosen for this work. It is too hard for most people. It requires a big capacity for love, but those who receive it are marked by God. They are the sealed ones. They are the midwives. They are the ones who will prepare the way for the December revival through their tears and their prayers. I saw people across the land experiencing this. They were hard before, tough, cold. They could walk past a dying man and not blink. But now they weep easily. They see a child in danger and they cry. They see a sinner and they pray immediately. They cannot watch the news without praying. They feel the pain of the city. They feel the sin of the nation. It is heavy on them. But they do not run from it. They do not hide from it. They embrace it. They take it to God. They are the intercessors, the gap standers, the chosen ones. This is the fourth sign. The expansion of compassion, the changed heart, the sign of the elect, the ones who will bring forth the revival through their pain and their love. Their eyes change. They look at people differently. They see past the surface. They see the hurting soul inside. They see the fear. They see the confusion. They see the child inside the adult. They see the brokenness, and they love. They love without trying. It just comes out of them. They cannot stop it. They are amazed at themselves. They say, I used to hate this person. Now I love them. What happened to me? God happened. The expansion happened. They are elected. They are chosen. They are ready. Jesus showed me the fifth sign. He revealed the revulsion of corruption. This is when sin becomes disgusting to the person. Not just wrong, not just bad, but actually disgusting. They feel sick when they see it. They want to run away from it. This happens suddenly. It is not gradual. It is not slow. One day they are okay with sin. The next day they hate it. Completely, totally, forever. I saw this clearly. He showed me the before state in detail. The person used to compromise. They used to tolerate sin in their life. Maybe they smoked cigarettes every day, a pack a day. Maybe they drank alcohol every weekend, getting drunk. Maybe they looked at pornography every night. Maybe they went to prostitutes sometimes. Maybe they masturbated every day. Maybe they told dirty jokes with their friends. Maybe they watched bad movies with sex and violence. They did these things and they felt okay about it. Or they knew it was wrong, but they did it anyway. They had habits. They had addictions. They had secret sins they hid from everyone. They thought they could not stop. They thought this was just part of life. Everyone does it, they said. It is normal, they said. They made excuses. They said they would stop later. They said God understands. They said it is not that bad. Other people do worse things, they said. They compared themselves to worse sinners. They felt better by comparison. They thought they had time to change. They thought they were saved, so it did not matter. They took grace for granted. Then something happened. God touched them. Suddenly, without warning, they felt different. They lit a cigarette and they felt sick to their stomach. The smoke smelled bad. It smelled like poison. They put it out immediately and they never wanted another one. Not because they were trying to quit, not because of health reasons, but because it was suddenly disgusting. They took a drink of alcohol and they felt disgusted. They poured the rest out down the sink. They looked at pornography and they felt dirty all over. Not excited, not aroused, dirty. They felt like vomiting. They closed the computer and they never went back. Not because they installed blocking software, not because someone caught them, but because it was suddenly disgusting to them. They thought about masturbating and they felt ashamed deep in their spirit, not pleasure, shame. They stopped immediately. They thought about going to a prostitute and they felt horror and fear, not desire. Horror, they stayed home. They heard a dirty joke and they felt pain in their heart. They walked away from their friends. They watched a bad movie and they felt God was sad and they could not bear it. They turned it off. They threw away the DVDs. They deleted the files. They cleaned their house. Jesus revealed to me that this is a sign of election. When this sudden revulsion happens, it shows God has chosen this person. He is setting them apart. He is making them holy, not gradually, not slowly over years of struggle, not by their effort, but immediately, thoroughly, completely. The change is instant. The old desires are gone, dead. They do not struggle. They do not fight against temptation. The temptation is gone. The desire simply dies. It is replaced by a hunger for God, a hunger for holiness, a hunger for purity, a hunger for prayer, a hunger for the Bible, a hunger for church, a hunger for righteousness. I felt tears running down my face as he showed me this. I understood the difference. Before, they avoided sin because they were afraid of punishment. They were afraid of hell. They were afraid of getting caught by their spouse or their pastor. They were afraid of shame. They were afraid of disease. They were afraid of consequences. But now, they avoid sin because they love God. They do not want to hurt him. They do not want to cause him pain. They know sin hurts God. It grieves him. It makes him sad. They cannot bear to make him sad. They would rather die than cause him pain. This is the new motivation. Love, not fear. Relationship, not rules. Devotion, not duty. He showed me that this is necessary for the coming work. The midwives must be clean. They must be holy. They cannot carry the revival if they have sin in their life. They cannot intercede effectively if they have secret sins. Their prayers would be weak. Their prayers would not be heard. God will not use vessels that have sin. He needs clean vessels, pure vessels, set-apart vessels, holy vessels. The revulsion is a gift. It protects them. It keeps them clean. It prepares them for the December outpouring. It makes them ready to carry the presence of God without getting hurt by it. It makes them able to stand in the presence of a holy God. This confirms their selection. When a person notices this sudden change, this immediate hatred for what they used to love, this thorough cleansing, they should know, they should understand. God has chosen them. He has selected them. He has set them apart for the midwife work. They are ready. They are clean. They can carry the presence of God. They can pray with power. They can stand in the gap without sin stopping their prayers. They are the holy ones, the clean ones, the set-apart ones. I saw people across the land experiencing this. They were addicted before. They were stuck. They could not stop sinning for years, decades. They tried everything to stop. Rehab, counseling, accountability partners. Nothing worked. They always went back. They were hopeless. But suddenly, they were free. They were changed. Not because they tried hard. Not because they went to rehab again. Not because they made New Year's resolutions. Not because they were strong. But because God changed them in a moment. He touched them. He sanctified them. He made them holy. They woke up and sin was disgusting. They were free. They were holy. They were ready for the July start. They were ready for the December revival. They were the midwives, clean and holy. Their hands shook as they threw away the cigarettes. Their heart raced as they deleted the files. They wept as they confessed to God. But these were tears of gratitude, not tears of struggle. They were so thankful to be clean. They were so thankful to be free. They never wanted to go back. The thought of going back made them sick. They were new, they were different, they were holy, they were ready. Jesus concluded by revealing to me 3 mandates for those who recognize even one of these 5 signs in their lives. Jesus showed me the first mandate. He revealed the intense prayer. This is not casual prayer. This is not saying grace before meals. This is not quick prayers in the morning that last 2 minutes. This is not reading a devotional and closing your eyes for 30 seconds. This is concentrated intercession. This is hard work. This is spiritual warfare. The vessel must be made ready through this prayer. The person who sees the signs must pray intensely. They must labor in prayer. It is a privilege to be chosen for this task. Not everyone gets this honor. Only the selected ones, the midwives. The midnight hours are the designated time for this work, between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. When they wake up with the stirring, they should not just lie there in bed. They should not just toss and turn. They should not try to force sleep to return. They should get up. They should get out of bed quietly. They should kneel on the floor or sit in a chair. They should pray. They should intercede. They should speak to God with intensity. They should cry out loud. They should plead with Him. They should prepare the way for the December revival. This is serious work. It requires focus. It requires mental energy. It requires physical energy. It requires time. The person must set aside other things. They must prioritize prayer above sleep, above comfort, above their own desires, above their schedule. They must be willing to be tired during the day if necessary. They must be willing to sacrifice. They must fight in the spirit. They must push back darkness. They must prepare the atmosphere for the coming revival. They must pray for the lost souls who will be saved in December. They must pray for the church to be ready. They must pray for the nation to be prepared. They must pray for the other midwives. They must pray for themselves to be strong. They must be ready. This prayer is not easy. It costs something. It requires sacrifice of sleep. It requires sacrifice of comfort. But it is necessary. The revival will not come without this preparation. The preparation happens in these midnight hours, the quiet hours, the holy hours. This is the first mandate: intense prayer, concentrated intercession, the labor of preparation, the work of the midwife, the calling of the chosen. Jesus showed me the second mandate. He revealed the bold proclamation. This is about preaching Jesus, speaking about Jesus, telling people about Jesus, sharing the gospel with words. But it must be bold, not timid, not quiet, not afraid, not whispering, not hoping someone else will do it. The person must have newfound courage. This courage comes from God. It is not natural. It is supernatural. It replaces the old fear, the old hesitation, the old worry about what people think, the old desire to be liked, the old need for approval. They must preach Jesus in the closet. That means in their private prayer time, they must speak of Him. They must declare His name. They must practice talking about Him. They must preach Jesus in the workplace. That means to their co-workers, to their boss, to the people around them during lunch break, to the customer they are serving, to the person in the next cubicle. They must take every opportunity that presents itself. They must not be silent when God opens the door. They must speak up. They must share their testimony. They must invite people to church. They must talk about Jesus naturally, boldly, without shame, without apology. The fear of man must be broken in their life completely. They cannot worry about what people think of them. They cannot worry about being embarrassed. They cannot worry about being rejected. They cannot worry about being called names. They cannot worry about losing their job. They cannot worry about losing friends. They cannot worry about family being angry. The coming harvest is too important. Souls are at stake. People are going to hell every day. The December revival needs to be prepared for. The midwives must speak. They must proclaim. They must be witnesses. They must open their mouths. God will give them the words to say. But they must be willing to speak. They must be willing to be uncomfortable. This is the second mandate: bold proclamation, courageous witness, fearless testimony, the voice of the midwife preparing the way. Jesus showed me the third mandate. He revealed the sacred assembly and knowledge. This is about gathering with other believers. It is not optional. It is not something they can skip when they are tired. It is non-negotiable. The person must commit to church, to meetings, to gatherings, to prayer meetings, to Bible studies, to worship services, to small groups. They cannot be lone wolves. They cannot do this alone. They need the body of believers. They need other Christians around them. They need encouragement when they are weary. They need help when they are struggling. They need accountability when they are tempted. They need to be with people who understand the signs, who understand the times, who are also preparing for the revival, who are also seeing the same things. They need community. They need family. They cannot survive alone. But it is not just gathering. It is also knowledge. They must study. They must learn about the prophetic season ahead. They must understand the times they are living in. They must know what is coming in July, what is coming in December. They must know the signs of the times. They must be informed and educated. They must read the Bible more than before. They must read books that teach about revival. They must listen to teaching about the end times. They must grow in understanding. They must know what God is doing. They must not be ignorant. This is essential. God will not use ignorant vessels. He will not use those who do not understand what they are preparing for. They must know the times. They must be ready. They must be prepared in their minds as well as their spirits. They must have knowledge to go with their zeal. They must be wise as well as holy. This is the third mandate: sacred assembly, knowledge, understanding the times, being ready for the work ahead. The preparation of the midwife.